Welcome to today's episode of the Group X podcast. I'm your host, Tony Zanardo. If you haven't yet done so, make sure you hit that follow button so you never miss another episode. Today, I'll be talking to Louise Ullah, presenter and trainer for Les Mills Asia Pacific. We discuss Lou's why and her how, and also what she's been going through for the last year. So, grab your favourite beverage, sit back, and enjoy the show. Lou, thank you so much for coming on the show and having a chat with me tonight. I greatly appreciate your time.
You probably won't say that when you spend hours editing every single hours.
Oh, no, I will. So, Lou, tell us, how did you get into the fitness industry? Where did it all start for you? Where does your journey begin?
It's a long story.
I got time.
And I'm actually not very good at telling short stories, and I try all the time, but I'm actually not. So please interrupt me when it goes on too long. So I think I was like everybody else, as in sports as a young child. Like I was a gymnast, I'd done kickboxing, I'd done everything. And then I went to high school and it stopped. And so I'm naturally an endomorph.
Yep.
So I went to college. So I finished school at 15 in the UK.
Okay.
Because
Yep.
I was very young.
Yep.
I was the youngest in my class. So in the UK, I finished school at 15, went to college, and I just wasn't me.
Yep.
And so I joined a gym. And honestly, that's how I started. Well, actually, I done Jane Fonda.
Yep.
Jane Fonda DVDs in my living room with my all-in-one leotard. Every day. Yeah. I can't do that. So every day I would do Jane Fonda in my living room when I was a kid. And I guess, and I literally used to walk around in an all-in-one leotard all day, every day. So I think my path was pretty set.
Now, I'm going to cast me back here. Is this when you were living in the UK? Or is this, it was? Okay. Yep.
So I lived in the UK, and then I moved on, and I was an instructor in the UK.
Okay. Yep.
I moved out to Australia, I think it was like 13 years ago now.
Yep.
But I'm also the sort of person that will go, so last week when it was 5 years ago.
So disclaimer here, it might have been 23 years ago, but we'll just roll with 13 for now. Yeah.
Years
Yeah.
ago,
Cool.
it might have been a week ago. Who knows?
So somewhere around 2010 is what we're going to say when you finally got here. Yeah, fair enough. Right, so Jane Fonda in the lounge room, you had joined a gym.
Yes, I joined a gym, and, you know, the thing that will probably surprise people that know me or have seen me on a DVD or on stage,
Yep.
they won't realise that I suffer massively with anxiety. And
You mentioned this to me the other week, and I in my head I just went bullshit.
Yeah.
Because the Lou that I know, no, you know, you have this persona, you have this personality that you come across as though you'll be able to talk to anybody, and everything's sweet, everything's cool, everything's, you know, hunky dory, okay.
And I think it's the thing with anxiety and being shy, or it depends where you are, who you're with, what the situation is. So for me, I can't go, and I try and rationalize with myself, like, I can't go into a pub and meet my friends on my own. I have to call them and say, I'm outside, come and bring me in.
Oh, wow.
And then there's other times where I'm super confident.
Yep.
There's times when there's a big group of people and I use my comedy.
Yep.
I say comedy.
Yep.
It's not. It's me sounding like a dickhead. And just being...
No, look, I'm going to pull you up there. No, it's not you sounding like a dickhead. I believe. Look at it. I think we've all got a coping mechanism for when we are out of our comfort zone a little bit. Yep. And I think, oh, you tell me, but I think that disappears when you get up on stage, right?
100%.
That just it's a different personality, a different persona. That's sort of not a different personality. That sounds like you've got split personality. That's not what I'm trying to say here.
Oh no, I think I do.
No.
I do. Like, but you could, because given putting me in different situations, it like I say, it depends who I'm with.
Yep.
I can feel really comfortable with someone.
Yep.
Feel really comfortable and confident with them. But most of my life I have spent with anxiety, and I've dealt with anxiety and being uncomfortable and making silly jokes when I'm uncomfortable. And yet when I'm on stage, it's like that caged bird that's been let free.
Yeah.
And I don't know why or how. I haven't.
I think it's great though that you realise it. You've got that self-awareness. There's a lot of people I think go through life that have anxiety or suffer from anxiety and can't determine what it is, can't interpret what it is properly. I think the fact that you know what it is and you know in certain circumstances how to control it or that it does disappear when you get up on stage, I think that's brilliant, because it's that self-awareness that helps you through everything you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it wasn't for group fitness, and actually before group fitness, I was a waitress in an American bar, and we had to sing happy birthday to like everybody would come to this bar or restaurant when it was their birthday. They knew the waitresses would sing happy fucking birthday to them. And I'm like this 16-year-old kid whose anxiety goes through the roof. But this restaurant, I think, helped me become who I am today. Because I had to sing happy birthday to all these fucking idiots that wanted to come to a restaurant to sing happy birthday.
So I'm gonna count you in. Are you ready? Here we go. Happy no, God no.
It was a different version. So I've got to teach you the version, Tony.
Okay. We'll do that one after then. We'll do that. You can teach me that on offline after. So how does that relate to when you first got into the gym? How was that experience? And if you were suffering that, how did you go when you first walked into a gym without other people around?
It was awful. So my mum and I are very close, and my sister wasn't living there, my dad wasn't living there, and it was me and my mum. Oh my God, this has turned into a therapy session.
See, everyone thinks that we're here to talk about group exercise, and we're really not. It's actually it's a therapy session for me talking to all of you guys. It's Dr. Tony.
Jeez, do you know how much they cost?
And I'm doing this for free. Damn it! I knew there was some way I could be making money from this thing. This is the Group X podcast.
Anyway.
Yeah, back on track.
So I'm suffering this anxiety and I realised I needed to get back into fitness. So I joined a gym, but I made my mum join with me.
Cool.
And we went to a group fitness class. We turned up late. It was body pump. And we literally only had a few weights left. So we're scrambling through and we're like going, sorry, and move, and people having to move, you know, when people have their spots.
Yeah.
And they're like having to move and they're angry with us because we're late. And like the class hadn't started, but we were late because everyone had their spot.
Yep.
And we died. We hated every single moment of it. We never went back, ever. So we got a personal trainer.
Yep.
So we got a personal trainer and I would go into the gym wearing a baseball cap. This is how shy and anxious I was. I had to wear a baseball cap in case anyone saw me. Wow. And it was just me, my mum, and this PT.
Yeah. And
we ended up getting to this point saying, can you come and PT us at home? Because it was just too much.
Just too much. Gym. Wow.
Yeah. It was too much for my personal anxiety.
See that I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm believing what you're saying. Comprehending it is probably the second part that I'm struggling with here. Sort of going that obviously the fitness industry, the group exercise has helped you a hell of a lot to move past that and move through that. That's I'm still look. I'm sure I'll come to terms with it in a couple of hours when we finish the chat. But I'm looking at that now, going, wow, that's not the Lou that I know.
No, and nobody would know that.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, there's different kinds of. If someone suffers with any kind of anxiety or shyness or insecurities, there's always going to be a different place, time, or event that will either set it off or make it okay. And it is something that shocks a lot of people. Yeah. That my closest friends 100% know me.
I'm going to say thank you for sharing this on this forum as well, because it's a, as I've said to some of the other guests as well, it can be very confronting. This, it's going out there that everyone can hear, and it's you do, in a way, you do become under the spotlight for a little bit for those that tune in to listen. But I don't think there's anybody in our, well, if there are, they better bloody watch out. That that's all I'll say about that. That if they ever try and have a go at anyone or try and this is a safe space. This is 100% just you and I chatting, although there's a whole lot of other people that listen later on. But if I hear anybody ever try to diss or have a go at any of my guests, then that's when the freaky Italian will come out, and I'll.
And I'm from Essex. You know what Essex girls are like.
Yep.
So that's where my confidence comes out.
Yep.
Like when someone hurts or does something to someone else.
Yeah.
I am like this crazy woman. But if it's towards me or my emotions, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. No, see, that's where I class every single one of you guys as my family, whether I know you well or not. And I'm very open with that to say that if anybody tries to harm or have a go at anyone, then I step up. But as I said, I don't think there's anyone in our industry that is like that. I don't think they don't last long. If they are around, the show ponies don't last long. They get found out and they're uncovered very quickly and
Yeah, I agree. And
removed.
They die.
Yeah. So tell us, that was your first experience in a gym. When did you actually get into group fitness? How did you go from, dude, I need you to come and train me at home, to teaching a class? There's a gap.
There is a gap. So I ended up, there was a very small community centre near my house, and they taught jazzercise. And I thought, I can do this, because there were literally 5 people in the room.
And you had your leotard too.
When I had my leotard. No, this was a little bit. I had it underneath my jogging bottom. So I went to this community centre and I done jazzercise, and I loved it. And I remember the instructor like really upset because it wasn't busy. And I was like, no, I love it because it's not busy.
Yep.
For me, I loved it. And I'm working as a waitress, and
in a cocktail bar.
Yep. Singing happy birthday. I'm not dissing it. I loved every moment that I worked there. I've got the most amazing friends for it. I'm not dissing it. I'm not dissing anyone, but I wanted more.
Yep, totally.
And I
totally understandable.
It wasn't my lifetime. So I remember, and I've got a very bad memory, but I remember so very well turning up to jazzercise quite early and sitting on the side, and the instructor that I'd never really spoken to much before was getting ready, and she could tell that something was going on in my head, that you know, something wasn't right. And she asked, hey, what's going on? And I said, oh, look, I'm waitressing and I just don't know what I want to do with my life. She said, you should do jazzercise, you should teach. You're so good. And I was like, yeah, okay. And she gave me the details. I went home and I booked in.
That's fantastic.
I literally booked in to do an aerobics course.
Someone you barely knew.
Yeah.
Convinced you to go and do something that has changed your life.
Yeah, and I don't know her name.
Yeah, I lost contact with her. I don't even think I saw her again after the module.
I wish I knew her name, and I would love to thank her for it, because she did change my life.
That's unique. That story is very unique. That's not something you hear on a daily basis. That's not something I've heard yet from anybody. So having a chat to someone, having you on the show, that person that suffers anxiety so much, but then fell in love with what you were doing, but also didn't have a clue what you wanted to do next, but knew something was going to be, something needed to change.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. How was the jazzercise module? How was that course that you went on?
Okay, so I done it was aerobics, and back then in the UK, it was a very long module. So it was like anatomy, physiology. It was, and so in the UK, we weren't as lucky as what guys are in Australia, where the modules happen on your doorstep.
Yep.
So I had to travel and stay in you'd call it a B&B.
Yep.
Back then, but do you have B&Bs over here?
Yeah.
Yep. So it was a B&B with an old couple, and they looked after me because they knew I was young, frightened, never been away from home on my own before. So they'd cook me dinner, they'd cook me breakfast, and they were beautiful. And I'd done this module with a group of guys that were insanely wonderful. Like, I can't tell you how comfortable they made me feel.
Awesome.
which was the beginning. And I honestly think if they weren't as amazing as they were, I don't know if I would have carried on.
That's awesome to hear.
The anxiety, the stress, my school in the UK was a very bad school, like Michelle Pfeiffer kind of gangster's paradise.
Yep.
I never learnt to learn. And when I say that, it's like I never learned at school. So I never learned to learn. So I'd done this course and I did not know how to study. I did not know how to take on any kind of information. So, and this course back then was months long.
Wow.
And I would go home in between and I would get Post-it notes with the bone names and the muscle names. And I made a game up that called the sneaky sticker game. And when someone walked past me, I would go, that's the tibia.
Yep.
And I would sneakily put the Post-it note on their tibia without them knowing. So it was fun for me.
Yep.
I know this sounds silly.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm getting my head around the fact that your schooling, your education growing up was not.
The funny thing is with that is because I never realised how bad it was until I moved to Australia.
Yeah.
Like we're used to it, and I have lifelong friends from people from that school.
Yeah.
And I never realised how bad it was until I moved to Australia. And they won't either.
Yeah. Wow.
And I could tell you so many stories, but this is about group fitness. So it's not.
Pause that for the next time we have a wine and I'm over in Perth. Yeah. Wow.
But no, I do things that I could to. I learnt myself as a child.
Yeah.
Like, let's play a sneaky sticker game.
Yeah.
And Tony, it was the first time I ever passed an exam. I got 100% in physiology and anatomy.
Well done.
And
well done.
Thank you. I had never been so proud of myself. And I just remember the trainer for that course, because it went on for a very long time, and I just remember going, I want to be her. But it was during that, trying to learn how to be an instructor. I'm in a B&B with no back garden, and I'm doing aerobics on the street. So I've got my headphones on with my CD walker.
Yep.
And I'm doing grapevines on the street up and down, and cars are coming past, bibbing and bibbing, and I might have sweared a few times.
No. The girl from Essex
No.
Swearing? No, don't
You
be
can't
silly.
imagine.
This is the Group X podcast. Oh, you've blown my mind. You really have. I had never, seriously, did not think that. Well, you don't think, do you? I mean, you don't know until you're really chatting to someone their story and where they've sort of.
No, and that's
Wow.
the thing I learned with this industry. You never know.
No.
Participants.
Exactly. And that's one thing I was going to allude to before, when you said before that was only 5 people in the class and you were loving it. I struggled with that when I first started teaching, because I'd come from all these classes when I was team teaching with Les Mills presenters, Shannon Cleary, Andrew Taylor, Vanessa Laporte, Chris Hutton, Steve Clough, those guys in when they were all at North Sydney Fitness First. And when I got my first class, there was 4 people in it.
Yeah.
It was a bit like, where have you gone?
Yeah.
Where are you? What, hello? I'm over here. But I got a bit upset about that being the instructor, but the people that were coming to my class were so happy that they could get into my class.
Yes.
Made me go, holy crap! Yeah,
Yeah.
what this sucks. We're one of the full class.
Yeah.
You've got to start somewhere, but also those 5 or 6 people that were in there on that Monday morning 7:30 class, 7:05, whatever it was, were absolutely loving it. I was giving it my best anyway, but they were also going, hey, because you don't know what's going on in their lives.
You don't.
You don't know what they're going through. You have no idea.
No.
The fact they were there could be their only hour for the day where they actually get a break to do something that is all them. They could be in an abusive relationship. It's their escape. It could be anything. It's the only time to get away from kids. You name it. It could be absolutely anything. Yeah. And it's so important to realise, I think, as instructors, that it doesn't matter if you got 5. It doesn't matter if you got 50.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. And you just said something that brings me back. So when I was leaving the UK, I think instructors forget what impact they have on people. And when I left the UK, it was an opportunity for members to tell me, because I was leaving and they didn't know if they would ever see me again. And I never forget a woman coming up to me and saying, I need to thank you. I do your class once a week, and I've done it once a week for years. A few years ago, my husband and my children died in a car accident, and your class is the only thing that keeps me going throughout the week. And I had no idea, Tony. I had no idea, and there were days when I went into that class going, I'm so fucking tired. I can't be bothered. Everyone knows the routine. Yeah. Let's just do it, get over it, and I want to go home. And that made me realise why people go, I mean, not to that extent, but you have no idea what our members are going through. Yeah. You have no idea. And I only know that because I was leaving and she wanted to tell me that.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's I like hearing that. I really do, because it shows the power that we have as an industry and what we do as instructors, that we have no idea most of the time what is going on. But the fact that this lady, as you're saying, went through that, and you were her outlet, you were what was keeping her little bit of focus, or whatever word you want to use for it. I think that's beautiful. Yeah. It's a shame that a lot of them don't feel they can come and talk to us at any time. But at the same time, it's none of our business. She might have wanted to keep that completely to herself and just do her thing and be one of those members that rocks up, does a class. Cool, I'm happy. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to do that. And
yeah. And I think a lot of us forget on a daily basis that people are going through. They're people. Yeah. They're humans.
Yeah. Just like you and I, everyone has their I call them demons, but they're things going on that you cope with and you deal with on a day-to-day basis. And So how long were you teaching over in the UK before you came to Australia?
I started aerobics in 2001.
Yep.
And I done most of my Les Mills training over there.
Okay. Yep.
So I learned aerobics, and with that, because of the intensity of the course back then, I was pretty much allowed to teach any freestyle class.
Yeah.
So I started off in community centres with a boombox.
Yep.
No microphone, a boombox, community centre, like handing out leaflets every day. And
so your own class, not something they were advertising, something you advertised and did.
my own
Wow.
class.
Yep.
That's what you done
Yep.
back then. And again, started off with 2 people, ended up being a packed out house. And there was one community centre that I taught at that was a really bad area. And there was only one entrance and only one exit. And the shutters were on the outside. So kids every week would lock us in. And it got to the point where we were like, oh, let's just carry on.
Yeah.
We'll call people after.
Yeah.
And
We'll be able to get out later on. It's all good.
yeah. Yeah. So we get locked in every single week. So then after that, I worked in schools.
Yep.
So I taught children age of 4 to 14.
Yep.
And then I worked in a disabled gym.
That would have been a challenge.
That was a challenge, especially for me, because big mouth over here. You know, I'd never forget. It was like one of my first days. There was a, excuse me, I'm training a guy in a wheelchair.
Yep.
And I said, all right, let's walk over here. Deer in headlights.
Yep.
Like literally just stopped. Deer in headlights. I just told him to walk and he can't walk. Yep. And he laughed and he said, no, I like it because you don't look at me like I'm a wheelchair.
Yeah.
You look at me like a person and you're not. But I'm not going to lie, I did think about everything I said from then on.
No, look, I think that's perfect because it's exactly as he said, and that's why I giggled at first, because a lot of people I know that have a disability don't want to be seen as someone with a disability. And the fact that you didn't, you know, it was probably just your normal routine of, right, let's go over here, you know, so let's walk over here. And it wasn't until you did the whole, oh, shit. Oh. But he was like, yeah, sweet. We're good.
Yep.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool client as well. Yeah, that's someone that enjoys you for what you're able to help them with. That appreciates it no matter what.
Yeah, that place taught me a lot, you know, about people and what we can do.
Yeah.
When you think you can't do things.
Yeah.
Like that and I'm really young at that point as well. So I'm learning so much from other people.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was an amazing experience.
Hey, just on that, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. Is that a rude question to ask a lady?
Oh, do you know what? It is. No, it's not. Book, Tony. You know I'm an open book. I don't care. I'm going to be 39 in August.
Wow. The big one happens next year.
No. The big one's happening this year because I don't want to celebrate being 40.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So the big
one's
one's
with that. Yeah.
No one knows about it yet.
Well, guess what? They do now.
They do now. I don't get a million roses.
Yeah. Does this mean I need to have a chat to David Moritz as well?
Yes.
And be like, dude, right. Yeah, we need to organise something here just for shits and giggles, mate.
God. Oh, I dread what he'll give me for my 40th.
Oh, I love it. So, hey, tell us, how many programs are you trained in?
6.
What are they?
So my first one was combat.
Yep.
Second was jam.
Yep.
Balance, pump, shabam. Now officially sprint.
Awesome.
I knew you'd say that.
Oh, look, who do I work for? What have I really ever done in my life is get on a bike and pedal, man. I can't fall off.
Look, I was a freestyle cycle, and you're going to hate this. So back in the day when I taught freestyle cycle, we used to take the seats off people so they wouldn't sit down. We used to do push-ups. We used to do push-ups and tricep push-ups. Yeah, we're cool, man. We're health and safety.
Oh, the enjoyment is all I was thinking right then. Is it? Yep. Yep. Look, I'll leave that alone. Yes, you've.
Bubble, didn't I?
Yes, Tony. We used to take the seats out. Just leave the pole there. Just take the seat off, and yeah.
We did. Those were the days. They were
Oh
fun.
dear. That just scares me. That scares me on so many levels. There's so many of those things you see. Yeah, look, the push-ups on handlebars and that kind of stuff, I can cope with, and the hanging onto dumbbells and all that kind of stuff, and the rhythm riding. I'm okay with all that now. I've made peace with that. That sounds so bad.
Have you?
I've made peace with that now. But sitting on a bike or riding a bike without a saddle, that just takes me to a whole new level of. Oh, look, there's probably some people out there that enjoy that, but I just don't know.
Look, I had to shock you in some way.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
You've done it. You have done it. You have.
I wouldn't do it now.
Yeah, no. The club would probably. Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So
I've never taught a sprint class.
You haven't. So you did the training, but you haven't taught a class yet.
Well, actually, look. I was very. I say I've done the training, but I didn't really. It was we've really have Lee Smith over here.
Yes, him. I know him.
He was creating the module.
Yep.
So he said to a couple of us presenters, "Do you want to come along and do the module? And I'm gonna do it the way that I want to do it, but I need to practice it. Yep. And if you pass, you pass. Like it and I passed.
Brilliant.
But I never taught it.
It's all right. It's not your thing.
Yeah. No, it's my thing, but I just never taught it. Like I used to teach spin like 3 times a day.
Well, now that you're making a comeback as well, after having a bit of time off.
Oh, making a comeback.
Day. Well, we're tapping onto that a bit later on because there's a whole episode in that one as well, I can tell. But you never know, people. You never know. You could see Lou on a timetable teaching sprint somewhere near you in the near future. This is the Group X podcast. So your first program was combat, yeah?
Yes.
Throwing punches in the air.
Funny story.
Go. I want to know. Where did you do your training for that one?
Okay, this is UK.
Okay, yep.
So I'm a full freestyle instructor.
Yep.
Very proud of myself. Like, I built my own little studio in my house, and I spend every minute of every day creating routines. And I go to a gym that I work at and participate in a class called Body Combat. And it was the GFM teaching it. And I was like, her name was Nikki. And I was like, Nikki, this class is awesome. I want to teach this. So I'd done one combat class. And she gave me all the information. And in the UK, it's very different to Australia. Yep. Like to do courses or to see presenters or, workshops, you drive or fly.
Yeah.
And so I drove. It was actually near to where my sister lived at the time at university, which was like a 6-hour drive. And I've rocked up to the course and they've given me a DVD and they've given me a track to teach. And I went up to the trainer and went, what? And he goes, yeah, you got to learn this track. And I went, sorry, what? I had no idea it was pre-choreographed. I thought it was freestyle. I thought that I would go to this workshop like all the other workshops or, courses that I've ever done. And they just teach you how to create a routine.
Yeah.
Create it yourself. I had no idea about Les Mills. And I spent the whole day anxious, annoyed. We'd done the masterclass and everyone was going, hey, 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 at certain points. I'm like, how the fuck do they know when to say, like, how do they know the routine? Baffled me. So I've done the day and I've gone home where my sister lives and we've put the DVD on. And I went, look at these idiots. I shit you not, Tony. I thought Dan and Ray were idiots. Like, so this was Body Combat 29.
Yep.
And anyone who knows Body Combat 29, Dan is wearing like a suit and tie. Rachel and another female presenter is wearing a suit with a bikini. And I'm like, do they fucking expect me to wear? And me and my sister are there laughing at him. And I went, I can't do this. Nah, I can't learn someone else's choreo. I was cocky at that point. Like a lot of instructors are when they... I say there's like this timeline for instructors. You start off, you have no idea what you're doing. You think you shit, you can't do it. You pass and you get through it. And you have a few years where you think you are the duck's nuts.
Yep. Totally.
I was in that phase.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm not learning someone else's choreography. Idiots. What the fuck are they wearing? And I went back the next day. And I'm going to say luckily, but this sounds awful. My dad had a heart attack.
Oh.
That night. And I used it as an excuse. However, he lived in Cyprus. So, so I've gone.
Oh, dear.
So I've gone to the training the next day with the CD, the notes and everything. And I said to my trainer, look, this isn't for me. I'm really sorry. My dad had a heart attack last night. I can't continue. I was using it as an excuse.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't continue. And my trainer was so good. He went, I'm so sorry. Where's your dad? And I can't lie, in Cyprus. And he goes, so you're going to fly out there? And I went, nah. And he went, so why don't you finish the day? And I was like, I just don't think it's for me. And he went, well, I do. He goes, why don't you spend the day and any emotions you're feeling about your dad, put it into every punch that you've got.
How good is that?
So good, Tony.
Turned it around and
turned it around.
That's a trainer you want.
Yeah. And I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. By the end of the day, I mean, like, man, I can't thank that trainer enough.
Yeah. That's gold. That's nice to hear, man. Nice to hear that there are trainers out there that they can turn a shit situation into something good, but allow the person or people that are in front of them to actually get the better of, get the best out of a shitty situation. Channel that energy, channel what you're feeling into what you're doing right now. You weren't able to get over to Cyprus to see your dad. You might not have been going either, but it doesn't matter. It's the fact of, you used that energy, as he said, and turned it into something. And I'd say thank God he did, because where would you be if you didn't?
Do you know what? I really don't know, because you know what freestyle's like now. Um, it's still very big in the UK.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him,
Yeah.
honestly, who knows?
You'd still be doing grapevines in Essex.
I would on the street.
Oh, brilliant. So you were saying before you did all of your training for Les Mills programs, apart from Sprint, in the UK. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I am over here.
okay. So how different were the modules over there compared to here? How different is training or was training back then in the early 2000s compared to here?
The only difference is you don't know your presenters.
Okay. Yep.
You don't know your trainers because it's so. I don't know what it's like now because I've been here for so long. Like I've been on LMAP team for over 10 years now.
Yep.
So I don't know 100% what it's like now.
Yep.
But back then, I can only tell you one presenter's name.
Yeah.
Because workshops, they were spread out all over the country.
Yeah.
So you might not have a workshop every 3 months because you couldn't get to that place.
Yeah.
And
I think we have got it quite lucky here in the way that workshops are set up and the way that how they happen every quarter. You know, yes, okay, during COVID they weren't there, they were online or however that happened. But the fact that you can get to a quarterly workshop, even if it's an hour or two drive here, where the majority of clubs, majority of instructors are close to where a workshop is going to be held. You know, there's obviously different for regional clubs and totally understand and respect that some of those guys, you know, may have to travel 4, 5, 6 hours in order to get in. We're from a regional area. However, the majority of instructors, I believe, are you know, able to get somewhere within, you know, minimum, half an hour?
Yeah, and it's absolutely ridiculous. My friends in the UK, they cannot believe that presenters teach in a club where instructors teach.
This is the Group X podcast. Masterclass videos, DVDs, whatever we call them these days. They're no longer DVDs. Let's call them a masterclass video. How many have you been on?
I've been on 3.
Okay. For which programs?
I shadowed Shabam.
Yep.
I shadowed Combat and I taught on a Shabam.
Talk me through the experience of these 3 different events. Shadowing obviously would be different to actually teaching. You need to know it all and everything, but teaching would be quite intense from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I hated it. No, I didn't.
No, look, it's okay because I know someone very close to me that it would probably say the same thing. The first was great, the second was great, the third was not so great.
All right, so I was very lucky that I'm going to say from day dot in Australia, I've been very, very lucky. I'm not putting talent down to anything. I'm still waiting for the day for someone to go, she's actually really shit. I've been lucky and I've had people back me up. People like Michelle Dean and Annie. And so I was asked to shadow Shabam when Jamie and Johnny were teaching.
Yep.
And a lovely, beautiful girl, Sophia. I want to say Sophia, but I know it's Sophie, but it's because I'm watching Modern Family at the moment.
Yes. You're getting yourself all confused. Yeah.
I have. Yeah. I haven't worked for a year, Tony. So I shadowed and I loved every moment of it because I had no I had no worries about talking shit.
Yep.
Like, I just got to dance and I got to experience the filming process. Now, I was lucky because I had been to quite a lot of filmings.
Yep.
When I first moved to Australia, I spent about 4 months in New Zealand.
Yep.
And I taught with people like Carla Fitzsimmons and Mid Thomas and,
Yep.
G, and I had the best time over there. So I knew the process.
Yep.
Without being part of the process. So
Yep. Yep.
thought I knew the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't know the process.
Yep.
But when you shadow, you're cruisy.
Yeah.
You just have to learn the moves, and And
How was your anxiety through that period?
Anxiety for me with things. This is the thing for me. It it changes.
Yep.
So I don't always suffer with anxiety. It's different circumstances
Okay.
and different situations.
Yep. Yep.
With this, I knew the choreography.
Yeah.
I worked my absolute ass off in front of the mirror all day, every day. So I was okay. However, I don't remember a single thing about that filming.
Really?
No, I don't. Like, people say, how did you feel on this part and this part? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like a blank space. And I think maybe I just zoned out onto just.
And that was when you were shadowing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that anxiety? I don't know. Is
Yeah.
that me nervous? I don't know. Is that me being focused? I don't know. What I remember is Sharon Susie being there and crying and being really proud of us. And I remember Michelle Dean crying and saying, I'm not going to tell you I'm proud of you because that makes it sound like I had something to do with it. And I was like, but you did. You did. It's all you.
Yep.
You made all of this happen for all of us, And, other things.
Yep.
Yep. Go on for hours if I mentioned everyone, but it's just, I really don't remember it. I remember us having to stop once because Rachel got the choreography wrong.
Yep.
And we stopped going, did she get it wrong? Because we just went with it.
Yep. Yep.
We had no idea she got it wrong.
She's a professional.
Yeah.
You guys are professionals. That's why you just kept going. You were just like, yep, cool. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we knew that we were going wrong. We just went with her. We
And
did it.
Tell us about the filming that you did where you actually had to teach.
Rather not. No.
Okay, interlude.
The reason that came up was, again, I'm going to say I've been very lucky with my career in Australia. Very lucky. And I was teaching, it was either a Filex or Dancer Palooza, and the track kept skipping.
Oh no.
Kept skipping. And this is Shabam, and Rachel was throwing her hands up in the air and having to go at the sound guys, and like, she was angry, but I just kept going.
Yep.
I kept going, and the instructors, as far as I'm aware, absolutely nobody knew that something was
wrong.
wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the track afterwards, Rach and I were off stage. And she came up to me and she had tears in her eyes. I'll never forget this. And she said, I've never been more proud of you. And she said, I would never have kept that going. And I've always doubted myself. I've always said, why am I here?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I've been lucky, you know. I was lucky being spotted by Annie and Shaz and Michelle, and they've just put too much faith in me. They all put too much faith in me this whole time. But to have Rach say, I would never have been able to have done what you've done.
Yeah.
You kept the whole team on track. And that next filming, she asked me to teach.
Yep.
And at that time, it was the proudest moment of my career.
Well done.
It's not now, but that was the proudest moment of my career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like hearing that. Thank you for sharing that as well. It's obviously something that's moved you. I can see at the moment, you know, people can't see this because it's a podcast. They can't see what's going on, but you know, I appreciate that. I got to press pause. She's just lost her shit, people. No, seriously though, thank you for sharing that because it's heartfelt, and that's what these podcasts are about. Is you guys sharing your stories so that other people understand you're human, but also what you guys go through. You know, it's a journey in itself. Yeah. It's a self-discovering journey that you guys go on, becoming trainers and presenters, and what you give back to all of us. So we're greatly appreciated. And from me to you, on behalf of everyone that's listening and out there, thank you. Thank you for what you do, because it's huge. Yeah.
I don't do anything, Tony. Like I run amok. Like
yeah, but
said the other day.
But that's you. Fun. Yeah, that's you, and that's what people love. That's what people enjoy about you and your classes. That you are you. Yeah. People say, and I think the word authenticity is thrown around too much. It's far too much used in our industry at the moment. But you're authentic. You are real. Yeah. There's maybe some things going on behind the scenes that you're dealing with, and that's we all sort of go through something in our lives. But I think what you do and how you do it, Mish, Sharon, Rach, none of those guys would have told you what they told you if it wasn't real.
Oh, I don't know. I paid them a lot of
money. And you still paid them off. Yeah, good. Okay, we understand. Yeah. Nutbag. This is the Group X podcast. Why did you stop teaching? What happened?
So I suffered heart failure.
Yep.
And when it first happened, it was actually just before I was filming Combat in Sydney. And I knew something was wrong, but I didn't want to tell anyone in case I wasn't able to fulfill this dream. And being on a DVD was never a dream of mine until it came up. Like I was never I never wanted to be a presenter. Being a presenter, it literally was handed to me, and I didn't have the opportunity to say no. I did. It's just a long story, and we haven't gone into that. But, me being a presenter, trainer, being on a DVD was never a goal. For me, it was teaching great classes where my members, who I call friends, get the best out of the class.
Yep.
That's my dream.
Yep.
That's my goal, and that's all I've ever wanted. to be asked on a DVD,
Yeah.
it is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
So you're not going to say no to it.
Yeah.
But I'm teaching classes, and I was the instructor that taught 29 classes a week. And all of a sudden, I couldn't breathe.
Did teaching that many classes? No, I don't want to use the word contribute. I just used it. What a dick. Did it contribute to the issues that you've had? No.
Well, no, they actually don't know.
Okay.
They don't know if it hindered or helped.
Okay.
Because they don't know that my condition that I've got is so rare.
Okay.
So I basically we haven't spoken about it yet, but
Yep.
I suffered heart failure.
Yep.
And it's a very, very rare type. So
your heart stopped.
Yeah. So I basically have day to day, even now,
Yep.
heart rate is 35. If I make my bed, it goes up to 200.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So walking very, very slowly, you can imagine. So it's
Totally understandable. You've had the last year not doing much.
Yeah.
What's the whoa? What are you allowed to do? What are they doing for you? What's the? How do we fix this problem? What are they saying to you? What?
They said a guy called Tony needs to marry me.
Right. Sorry. Look, I'm married. I've got a child and 2 dogs. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
No. So I've had 2 surgeries. And I've got one coming up. But recently they said that I can start training in, but very, very slight.
Yep.
And my goal is next year to get back to who I was.
To where you were, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the goal. And I have always been that sort of person where I'm realistic.
Yep.
If I want something, I will go and get it.
Yep. So you've just been told that you're allowed to get back into training. Am I correct in that?
Last week.
Yeah.
I was told I was allowed to train again.
Yep.
But
that doesn't mean going straight back into a sprint or a body combat class, does it?
No.
No.
It was quite funny because people have been messaging me going, "So are you going to teach next week?" I will die.
No. Yep.
I start off with Born to Move.
Yep.
And then I don't know.
What have they said you can do though? Is there it's obviously got to be limitations on what you're allowed to do at the moment.
So low impact at the moment. And they literally just it's honestly just for my own mental state at the moment.
Yep.
Because they know how important exercise is for me and for most people.
Yeah.
And it's, people go through stuff all the time.
Yep.
And when you're suffering kind of a mental illness or, any kind of issue that's affecting you mentally, what do people say? Exercise.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, when you can't exercise, when all you've done is exercise and you're suffering mentally, what do? You drink white wine, Tony. No.
So you have shares in a vineyard over in WA is what you're telling me, yeah?
Yeah, I've made a lot of money.
Yep.
No.
You've actually started your own grapevine out in the backyard, and this year should be good. What does the future hold for you obviously you'll be able to get back into teaching. You'll be able to move back into that slowly. But what else is there on the horizon for Lou?
I am literally just focusing on getting back to teaching.
Yep.
Because that is going to take a while.
Yeah.
But I also have enrolled in a rehabilitation animal welfare service.
Excellent.
Yes, because I love animals.
My ears and my dog's ears have all pricked up over here, so we're listening intently.
And Basil's not happy with that.
Why?
But because he's the only boy in my life.
Basil, now listen, buddy. Yeah, Mum's gonna probably bring some other. Is it where you bring other puppies home? Or not?
Probably will, you know.
Yeah. Basil is Basil going to cope?
No.
Oh.
No, but I go out to places where we help wildlife as well.
Okay.
So that's in the works. But I mean, I personally would love to do some kind of mentorship.
Yep.
Because I do it anyway. Like all day, every day. That's probably something that I do more than presenting and training.
Yep. This is the Group X podcast. Does the industry need to change anything? If so, what?
Yes, we need Tony back.
Tony's not going to come back to teach for a while. Tony's had one hip replacement. Tony needs the other hip replacement in October this year. Tony's also going to Fiji in October, so that could be quite interesting. Maybe I'm going to have to just postpone the hip replacement until I get back from Fiji, because I want to be able to go to Fiji. But no, maybe, look, I just don't think I want to teach anymore, but I don't think I wanted to retire and have a big send-off. I was happy to walk away in the way that I did, and when we relocated from Canberra to Sydney, Canberra to Wollongong, I decided to stop teaching. It's not to say that I won't ever go back, but it's not where I'm at again right now. Where I'm at now is wanting to give more back to the industry and help the industry lift its game from where it is at the moment. So,
that's lovely, and that's good. That's good of you. How can the fitness industry change? So many ways, like putting more effort into group fitness.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I love group fitness. I'm a personal trainer as well. I've been a GFM. I've been a receptionist. I've worked every part. I've been at sales, you know. I've done every part, but group fitness is what people bring people into the gym, you know, like, and it's ridiculous when they change the timetable non-stop. You pull someone in because you got body jam on the timetable, and you go, do you know what? 3 months later, let's get rid of it.
Yep.
Give it more time.
Yep.
Give it time. And the way that, for me personally, that big chains, I'm not talking about every gym, I'm not talking about a particular gym. I'm saying normally they bring an instructor in to be a group fitness manager who teaches one program who has absolutely no idea about group fitness as a whole. And they bring in their program or their friends.
Yep.
I probably shouldn't have said that. But
No. It's what you've just touched on there is part of the reason why Group X started. It's part of the reason why this podcast started, part of the reason why groupx.com.au started and got off the ground. Group X managers and Group X in clubs is not given the importance that it needs to properly.
No.
Now, and this is nothing against any Group X managers out there at all. A lot of Group X managers have been put into a role default because they were the best instructor on a timetable. Doesn't mean that they necessarily have the correct skill set. You know, there's a skill set you need to have to be able to manage that department properly. And it doesn't just involve, as we've discussed, doesn't just involve updating a timetable, finding covers, doing pays. There is a hell of a lot more that needs to be done. Now, I take back to my term when I was back in North Sydney Fitness First. the cycle studio was pumping, and as it would have been. Yeah, that was my baby. The cycle studio, every cycle class in that place went off. It was phenomenal. The yoga studio and Pilates studio, I had a team in there that just the girls in that room did their thing, and I let them run it because they were professionals at what they did. Now, I didn't know that space at all. I should have. I should have been in there. I should have gotten to know them. I should have gotten to understand those programs, but I didn't. Our main group fitness room, we had all the Les Mills programs pumping in there at that time. But at the same time, I wasn't in that studio. I was teaching boxing in there, and I taught the occasional pump class in there, but that was it. I wasn't in there that often. Now, as a Group X manager, you need to be in all of your studios, whether you're teaching in all these studios or not, but you need to be across every single space. You need to understand every single space. And that, yes, you can bring your friends on. Yeah, sure, as long as they fit the right thing for the business.
Yeah.
A Group X manager needs to be involved in the recruiting process alongside the owners or club manager of a gym to make sure that that person fits. The big thing that I remember seeing back then was, and I was guilty of it as well, hey, can you teach Tuesday at 5:45? Awesome, sweet, it's yours.
Yeah.
Without realising if the fit was even there. Yes, okay, they were able to teach for the chain that I was working for, but were they right fit for my club, where my club was situated? Not every instructor fits for every single club. Yeah. Yes, we can all teach the programs. They're fantastic. And I discovered this in Canberra the hard way. Yeah. I'm a good instructor. I talk myself up. I teach a great class. But in one of the clubs in Canberra, they hated my guts. The club went from having 20 people in that class to 3 after 4 weeks because they didn't enjoy the way I taught. Now, you know what? Cool. I should never have been given a class until I'd actually done an audition or actually even trialled it and gone in there and seen with those members. It wasn't right. That's where I think Group X managers, we take whatever we can because, we don't know how to do it any differently. Oh, yeah, cool. Can you teach? Yeah, sweet, come on. Yep, we want you to go and teach. Yeah, you're trained in that program, you'll be fine. It's the easiest way to kill your club, kill your timetable, putting somebody in that you don't know if they work.
The problem is with group fitness managers now, A, they don't get paid enough, and B, they're not managers.
Yep.
They've got managers above them to tell them what they can and cannot do.
Yep.
But when I was GFM back in the day, I ran group fitness and I decided what happened when it happened. I didn't have anyone above me to tell me yes or no because I was a group fitness manager.
Yep.
And now group fitness managers are literally there to pay the payroll and find customers.
Yep. And that's
they're not paid enough.
Yep.
And they don't have enough hours.
Yeah. That's my thing is there's a skill set. Now I don't know whether I would agree with there needs to be given 40 hours a week.
No.
Yeah, it's one of those things where depending on your club, depending on where you're at, is going to depend on or going to determine how many hours your group exercise manager needs. The skill set needs to be exactly the same, whether they've got 40 hours a week or they've got 10. They still need to have the same skill set because they still need to manage it in that way. It's just going to be whether the club whether you sit down with your club manager or owner and you work out, cool, what do we need to do here? I've got 70-something programs on my timetable. I've got 70-something instructors on my timetable. How do we do this? Or, you know what, we've only got 15 classes. We've only got 5 instructors. Each teach 3 each. They don't need to have a 40-hour-a-week job, but they still need to have the same skill set as someone that's got a timetable of 70 or 120 classes or whatever it may be on their timetable. The skill set needs to be there, and that's what I'm finding more and more, and that's part of this whole movement, if I want to call it that, around trying to get group exercise talked about more often. Let's uncover these things. Let's discuss them. Let's work on ways together where we can improve what we're doing, because it's only going to improve what we've seen as in the industry instead of just seen as, oh, yeah, that's just that cost center over there that costs me money.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, Tony, because I really appreciate what you're doing. Like, it's been too long where we've been pushed aside in the group fitness world, and I absolutely love that you're bringing us to the forefront.
Thank you. Yeah.
And
as you said before, you mentioned something about your anxiety and that kind of stuff. I struggle to accept when people say thank you and say nice things. Yeah, I and that's me being a little bit vulnerable at the same time, but I don't do it for praise. Yeah, I haven't gone. Yeah. I'm not the type of person that goes out and go, you know what, cool, I'm going to do this because I want everyone to love me and I want this to happen. No, I'm doing this because I see that something needs to change and I want to go and do it. If people want to jump on board and come with me for the journey, cool, let's do it together. The more people on the ground marching and beating this drum, the better it's going to get. You know, the further we're going to be able to move with it. So I really do thank you, for saying that. And I thank you also for coming on the show and chatting to me as well, because without you guys, this wouldn't happen.
No.
Yeah, when I've reached out to everybody and everyone has turned around and said, you know, Tone, yeah, we want to be part of it. And what you've just said as well makes me, I get a warm feeling inside, if that's the only way I can describe the whole thank you, because I love that feeling. But thanks.
That's good. And you're doing a great job, and just keep doing what you're doing because it's appreciated for everyone who loves group fitness to get us, you know, back where we belong, because group fitness was huge. Hey.
And it can be again.
It will be again.
Yeah.
Yeah.